Well, it's time now to review headlines on today's newspapers with the Ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day Newspaper Limited Group Executive Director, Kayode Komolafe. Good morning, Mr.
Good morning,
Komolafe.
OG.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr.
Newspaper review this morning.
Good to have you. Yeah. All right, let's start with This Day on Sunday. We should start with the lead story. It's about the crisis in the PDP. And the headline says, PDP governors meet over party crisis. Mark Suswam, Jostle for chairmanship. And the rider, NEC may dissolve NWC, appoint caretaker committee. I'm not sure if that is in sync with what Segun Showmi, Otoba Segun Showmi was telling us earlier, when he broke down what is actually happening within the PDP. But here, the lead is saying that the neck of the party may dissolve NWC and appoint a caretaker committee. On top of that story, we have Shettima. Tinubu's administration will empower Nigerians with competitive skills for export, says growing unemployment rate to be reversed. That's another, if you like, good news tracking from the vice president, which I think he does quite well. Sometimes you imagine that the vice president tends to do the job of communicating, the present administration better than all the other people who are supposed to be speaking for the government. So Shettima here is saying that the administration of Asiwaju will empower Nigerians with competitive skills for exports, and it says that growing unemployment rate to be reversed. Many people may not see what he's advocating yet or what he's hoping for, but at least he is being consistent with the good news from the administration. On top of the masthead, the strip there says NERC, federal government incurred 380 billion naira electricity subsidy bill in Q2 of 2024, down by 40%. That story is on page 10 of today's newspaper. FG incurred 380 billion naira electricity subsidy bill in Q2 alone of 2024. On the window, NUPRC, entry fees for investors are in Nigeria, 7 offshore assets, 24 acreages globally competitive. And the rider Dangote targets crude oil from OMLS, 71, 72, in Q1 of 2025 to feed refinery. Off the camera, we had a lengthy and I believe healthy discussion about how this will be a game changer. One promise of game changer after another, but then, when Dangote comes with it.
Steve Ayorin.
I don't know what game changer means, but we expected that with the advent of Dangote, with his petrol in our cars, it will be a game changer. But here we are paying more than 1,000 for fuel in our own country, locally refined.
Well, Nigeria changed the game on us because they deregulated.
How has it changed the game
to
those who are buying?
The federal government changed the game. I mean, we decided to remove subsidy. It wasn't about whether or not...
I thought the subsidy was removed on the
well, read Wale Edun's statement
of March. Okay, lastly, on the cover of this day, CDS decries excessive hostilities in human treatment of Africans on continent's borders. That story is on page 6. And I think very quickly, KK, the cover picture there, renewed commitment to human capital development. And that shows the Nasarawa State Governor, Alhaji Abdullahi Sule, together with the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, at the launch of the State Human Capital Development Strategy document and Gender Transformative Human Capital Development Policy Framework in Lafia yesterday. KK, you might want to start with the game changer, if that is of interest to you, as I believe it ought to be.
Certainly, still it is. I think both the window story and the strip, could be taken together because they are energy stories.
That's correct.
One with oil. I mean, one is about oil, and fuel supply, and the other one is about electricity bill. Now, perhaps it will interest readers more that federal government in Q2, still paid a subsidy of 380 billion, so I mean, the context of this, is very important because the same report of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, because the story is about the quarterly report of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, just released a few days ago. And the reason why people, even though it may appear very huge that the subsidy from government is 380 billion, but then it is still a reduction, from what it was in the previous quarter. And the reason for that is because the discos are now generating more revenue. They are now earning more. And the reason why they are earning more is because, Steve, those of you in Band A, you are paying more. So the more you pay for electricity, then the less the federal government will, the government will have to subsidize electricity. But by and large, I think the trend is positive, and that is that the discos should be able to put in place. They should be in the position whereby they'll be able to have regular supply of electricity, and also consumers will be able to have affordable tariffs to pay. Now, talking about the game changer, certainly I agree with Oji that if you now come to a situation whereby there will be no question, no argument about feedstock to the Dangote refinery, that if within the Dangote group, the upstream operations, could ensure steady supply of crude, to feed the refinery, definitely we must have, removed part, of the, what appears to be the obstacles, on the way of, full operation of the refinery. And I believe that will be a game changer, Now, those who are experts in petroleum economics, I know better. But even from a non-expert view, it is safe to project that in a situation whereby you are having crude from Dangote, crude oil production, feeding the refinery, then you will be, talking of steady supply,
yes,
to the refinery. And then in terms of price, it is only rational to expect that, the price, will definitely come down. And that is without prejudice to all this technical thing about international, price of crude. Because for once, if Dangote crude oil production is feeding the Dangote refinery, definitely nobody will be talking of whether you pay in Naira or you should not pay in Naira.
And you have eliminated
it's paying in Naira at the moment. I just hope. I understand the point that your good self and Oji are making about game changer and the expectation and the hope around it. But then people were hopeful when the refinery itself was coming. And I hope that when the Dangote crude is now feeding Dangote refinery, the next step will now be, let him also distribute his fuel by himself. Don't let him go through independent marketers or through an NPC. We've seen this, script being played, over and over again. And I'm speaking, and not because I have an unbending view about it. I'm speaking because of the state of the expectation of Nigerians. And many of them, to use a Yoruba analogy, we say that Kila Mfani Yoruba, what is the point of a bitter cola, that you break it, it won't give you multiple stuff. It's not
So
sweet.
are you worried about monopoly? Is that the main point you're trying to make? Because I don't see how
That's a
having
smaller
to be
part of
able
the
to-
worry. That's a smaller part of the
You're
worry.
worried about the monopoly, whether or not he's, feeding his refinery and distributing his
I'm
refinery
saying
by
that many
himself.
people have
So you
expressed the
feel
fact
like he's going
that
to
you also don't want to
monopolize the
create
market.
monopoly, which was why.
Still borrowing your Yoruba metaphor. You also know that the bitter cola, could also be very medicinal. It could prove very efficacious in treating certain diseases.
Yes.
In the truth certain disease. So
Yes.
it's medicinal. So the thing about it is not just the bitterness.
It doesn't negate the
what I'm saying is that so the Orogbo,
Yes.
the bitter cola in this case will actually at the end of the day be the medicine that is needed to solve the affliction that we have in the downstream sector, which is that Nigerians should be able to have steady supply of fuel at a price that is affordable.
At a price that is affordable to Nigerians. That is the Amfani Orogbo that I was referring to.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying now. That in this case,
yes.
That the bitter cola in this case, could actually be the medicine that is needed, for those problems that you have highlighted, about the downstream sector, because the thing is not just about the price, but also even the steady supply. Because for example, at times when people are on the queue, for
Yeah,
Mr. Okadike that we had earlier
scarcity,
today said that we do not have supply issues anymore. It's about pricing. And I'm saying that the expectation of many Nigerians, if not most Nigerians, was that once Dangote refinery comes on stream, most definitely prices will crash. But what we have at the moment is that it's skyrocketing.
Yes, that is a legitimate expectation on the part of the consumer. And I'm also saying that it is safe to project that will definitely happen, because some of the issues, that we have been having, about the supply of crude will now be eliminated if you are having steady supply from the Dangote crude oil.
That is assuming that crude supply is the problem now.
You said?
Which I don't think it is.
Crude has always been the problem.
Of course it is.
Of course it's the problem.
Of course the supply.
Crude supply has always been.
Technically, in terms of the integrity of the refinery,
So like I said, it will be against.
There is no problem with the operation of the refinery. Nobody is doubting the capacity of the refinery, to deliver. But then it's just obvious that you cannot have a refinery, operating if you don't have crude supply.
Yeah.
It's just.
And the point that Mr. Steve is trying to make, especially following the conversation we had, he actually said that there is enough right now that is just stuck there. I think they said that about 15 billion naira worth of these kind of supplies.
No, that's
but
not true. Not 15
That's
billion.
their own money.
That's the money that they've accrued into their account.
That's a different issue, actually.
Fuel. That is the main thing. The point is...
No, there's enough fuel.
No, the point is the price. So he's saying that if the price goes up, they will not be able to function. They will not be able to sell at that price.
He's saying that the price ought not to be what we are buying it now.
Yes, to be that high.
So my point,
but the point also, you have to look at the way this happened.
So I'm saying that it is not crude.
Stages.
That is the reason why the price is
has
up.
gone up.
And I'm
No, it
saying
is
that
because we are fully deregulated. That is the reason. Yes, there is no more subsidy at this point. That is why our fuel prices,
so Mr. Okadike says even without subsidy, it is wrong to have the prices fixed at where we have it
because
now.
They had already invested a certain amount of money with the NNPC, and they were supposed to have supplied them at that rate. That is their big complaint.
I think it is not very correct to think that total deregulation simply means that prices will skyrocket.
Yeah.
And I hope, that would be incorrect. And I think
why would the price skyrocket? I'm sorry.
Sorry?
Why would the price
skyrocket? We don't know. That's what we're asking them.
That is what it is, Steve. Only if you listen to Wale Edun's statement yesterday, we are implementing. Yeah, we are implementing full regulation.
That would necessarily lead to price.
Because subsidy
is
gone.
Let's go back to. Let's go back.
9 minutes left.
It's not about subsidy. We are refining locally.
The price of crude.
We are refining locally.
Okay, I think
back to you, sir.
The PDP governors. Should we do that?
The lead story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what we do the PDP
done that?
governor? No, just briefly, just
on that.
amplify what Steve said, about this story of the human capital development.
Yes.
Actually, the story was that the Nasarawa state government was launching a document, about human capital development and also gender equity, And on that occasion, the VP, Kashim Shettima, the very brilliant articulation of the policies of the government, and also in a way that reinforces hope. That if we are really talking of redeem hope, it is this kind of sound bites, that are needed. I mean, that should be the oxygen, for that particular hope. And what basically the PDP is saying in that story is that if you are talking of development, you have to focus on human development. And what are the elements? That is investment in education, investment in healthcare, and also, upskilling the skill of people, so that, people who are in the labor force will have the necessary skill that will make them to be globally competitive. Yes.
All right, we're running out of time. Let us take this day's style really quickly. And the cover picture there is Governor Biodun Oyebanji, if we can pull up this day's style, enabling Ekiti State, the governor of Ekiti State. With a political career that spans over 2 decades, Governor Oyebanji has become one of the most experienced and respected leaders in Ekiti State, having served in various capacities from special advisor to commissioner and secretary to the government of Ekiti State. Now, in this day's style, he speaks candidly about his administration's efforts in human capital development, infrastructure, expansion, industrialization, agriculture, youth empowerment, and governance reforms. I guess it would be a good read. I would love to hear more about what he's doing for the good people of Ekiti State.
Absolutely.
Well,
all right, very quickly before we go, and just to bring us back, I just saw this on the cover of the Sunday Vanguard, where Muda Yusuf, who is an expert in these things, actually speaks. Dr. Muda Yusuf says prices may go up again. We have to be extremely careful when we push for a complete deregulation of PMS.
That's what's happening, of course.
So,
the prices will go up, obviously, and they're doing the deregulation by stages. That's what's happening.
I disagree, with
That's
that,
exactly
with
what's
that
happening.
conclusion.
What?
It doesn't necessarily have to
go up.
It doesn't necessarily
So
have to
if they are not paying subsidy, if they are
just a reminder
not
here,
paying
just a reminder
subsidy.
here, like it happens in any other sector. In a regime of deregulation, then that you will then have the job of the regulatory authority to be in place. Don't forget the midstream and downstream sector of the economy. As a regulatory authority. So the job. The job of that particular authority will have to come into place. So when you talk of deregulation, it does not mean the absence of regulation. I think in terms of the understanding of this, in the Nigerian public sphere, it is important to make that regulation. It doesn't mean that you go there and just do whatever you like. That is why you have regulatory, regulators being put in place. Absolutely. So in this case, perhaps what you are saying in effect here is that the regulator
it can be arbitrary.
Exactly, the regulator will still have to do his job.
Absolutely.
Even when the policy of deregulation, because officially it has not been proclaimed that we are now in a regime of
deregulation. The essence of deregulation is also to, spread wide open the doors, so that other players can come in. When other players come in, ideally. It means that that prices will be competitive, and in most cases, it will go down. It won't be about one person just telling you that this is the price that you should sell.
Mr. Komolafe, it's always a pleasure to have you on the newspaper review. Thank you very much for joining us on the morning show this morning.
Pleased to be here.
Thank you, KK, for a game-changing analysis today.
As
always.
Thank you,
All right, that brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching, and do stay safe. I'm Steve Ayoride.
And I'm Shaitan Atigari.
And I'm Oji Okpe. From our entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria, enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.